Hello chat, what's going on? I'm back and I want to talk to you guys because I have recently embarked on my third round of Accutane, which might be unheard of to some of you guys, but I want to kind of talk about what the process is like, the drug itself. I feel like a lot of people have questions about it, so I wanted to kind of get into my skincare journey, where we're at now, and what our plan is moving forward, and some commonly asked questions I've been getting. So let's get right into the video, but first, if you're not subscribed, definitely consider doing that. I'm just doing this for fun, but it's super cool when people come back and let me know what they think about it. It's completely free, and it makes me happy. So if you want to make me happy, definitely hit that button. But let's start off by why I went on it in the first place. So if you guys aren't familiar with my channel, I'm currently 21 years old, just turned 21. When I first went on Accutane, I was, I want to say 13 or 14. So going into 8th grade, 9th grade, I had super chronic acne. I actually didn't have cystic acne, which is pretty common with Accutane. You typically have that cystic, extremely painful acne. I'll probably put up some photos here. I don't have a ton from the first round because I was super self-conscious about my acne. No duh. I was also self-conscious about everything, going through puberty, all that jazz. But essentially, I kind of tried everything. I tried topicals, they weren't working for me. I tried other medications, they weren't working super well for me. Now, albeit, when I was 13, I didn't exactly know how to use all the topicals correctly. So that's probably part of the reason why they weren't working. But regardless, I was working with my dermatologist, and eventually we got to the point where we really didn't have any other options. And again, the problem with my acne was not that it was completely cystic and horrendous, but it was extremely stubborn, and it was not going to go away. And it wasn't going away on its own. It wasn't going away with more beginner friendly / less severe treatments. And so that's when we decided to go on Accutane for the first time. So I remember going on it. I was on it for about 5 months, so a pretty short stint in comparison to my second round. But it worked really well. I had really bad dry skin this time around because, again, I wasn't super familiar with how to correctly use topicals. So I was just not using my moisturizer correctly. Overall, it was kind of a catastrophe. But again, everything in middle school is a catastrophe. I was just stupid. So I didn't really know how to use a lot of these, but this offered me a lot of experience. I also used a ton of makeup at this point because, again, I was super self-conscious about my skin. I feel like a lot of people without acne might think that's not something to be super self-conscious about, but when you have chronic acne and you literally don't have a day with clear skin, it is super easy to let it get to you. And especially as a young teenage girl, it kind of sucked with all of the other changes going on with my body and with my appearance to also have worse acne than my peers for a prolonged period of time. So after the first round of Accutane, I didn't really have acne for about a year, and typically with Accutane, they kind of say, you won't get it again. So I was under the impression I was never going to really have to deal with acne or deal with it to a very minor degree. Flash forward a couple of years to 2020, COVID, just kidding, F you, F COVID. Have you guys ever heard of a thing called maskne? Because I have, and I'm a victim. I'm a victim of maskne. I actually had really beautiful skin for my middle 2 years of high school, and maskne really cooked me. I was breaking out a lot around my mouth region. Fortunately, since the first round of Accutane, actually the only part of me that has stayed completely acne-free is really my forehead. So even to this day, I'll get some around the edges of it, but I don't get really bad forehead acne anymore, which with the first round, that was very common for me. Most of my acne was up here. So it started down here because of the maskne, and then I went into senior year, and so I'm class of 2022, so senior year we were in person, but we were still wearing masks. So it was progressively getting worse around here, and I was actually getting cheek acne, which I really hadn't dealt with before. Again, the first round was very concentrated on my forehead, so it was clearly moving. I know there's some reasoning behind where you get acne. I don't know. But Obviously, it was definitely linked to hormones. And again, I'll get into some of the other treatments I've done and why I didn't like them. But we went through a very similar regime with different, less severe treatments. Once again, because they were like, well, since you've been on Accutane once, these might work better than they did before you went on it the first time. But they still weren't really working for me. And again, it was getting to the point where I'm coming up on graduation. I'm 18 years old. I'm a little bit frustrated that it's still this much of a problem. Oh my God, it's pouring outside. Wow. Anyway, so I decided to go on it for a second time. This time I was night and day with the first round. I was a lot better at managing the dry skin because I was older and I really knew how topicals worked, and I'd actually done a lot of like research into skincare in the interim between the first and the second round. Shout out Hiram. If you guys are fans of him, love him. So I did the second round. The dry skin wasn't nearly as much of a problem because I actually knew how to use Aquaphor correctly and stuff like that. And again, I'll get into my skincare routine and how that's evolved as well. But yeah, flash forward to now, it's been really weird. So last year I went to Antwerp around this time, and the only reason that's relevant is that's when my acne really started to get bad again. So I was there from May to June 2024, and my acne was pretty severe while I was there. And I got back and it started clearing up. It always clears up a lot more in the summer with the sun and a lot of chlorine in the pool. I don't know, I'm not a doctor, but it's always better in the summer. Everything's better in the summer. Come on. But anyway, so I got back from Antwerp. Also, Antwerp during this time of the year was very cold. So I kind of attribute it to like, my summer really started once I got back from study abroad. So study abroad, I was breaking out really badly. Got back, it was better during the summer, so I really didn't worry about it. But after this winter, it was just too bad, and I'm 21 years old at this point, and so I actually went to a new dermatologist, and I'm not really gonna get into why I switched, but all you guys need to know is it's really hard to find a dermatologist who can prescribe you Accutane, but I just wanted to go to a new one. So I drove over to DC, I went to this new one, and he kind of offered me a couple different treatment plans, and I was just straight up with him. I was like, I've been on Accutane twice. I really don't feel like going through the hoops again. Like, let's just do it again. So that's where I'm at now. I'm on my first week of it. I'm like 4 or 5 days in. But yeah, so I figured we could kind of get into like what my skincare routine looks like and all that cool stuff. So my dermatologists have always been huge advocates of CeraVe. So I use a CeraVe foaming cleanser, but I'll also use the moisturizing cleanser, especially during Accutane, because again, the number one side effect is dry skin. So I will use those interchangeably depending on how dry my skin is at the given moment. Along with that, I have a couple different serums that I kind of use for different situations. I have a vitamin C serum, I have a toner, I have a couple other ones in there that honestly I couldn't name off the top of my head, niacinamide, but when I'm on Accutane specifically, I really dial those back because it is, again, so harsh on your skin that I really want to just focus on. I'm using the CeraVe moisturizer, I'm using Aquaphor, and I'm really not using too much else. The only reason I'm using them a little bit right now is what's called the purge with Accutane, which is essentially it gets worse before it gets better. So right now my skin is in the phase where it's getting a lot worse, so I'm using a tiny bit of those other topical creams because I'm trying to mitigate the effects of this purging period so that my skin doesn't look like absolute crap and I don't get super bad scarring. So that's where I'm kind of at right now with my skincare routine. Super simple. I don't wear makeup that much, not because I don't, or not because I can't, just because for me personally, I don't love how it feels on my skin. I almost never use foundation. I only use it if I'm having really horrible acne. So I'm a concealer girl, especially during the summer. I love a little light makeup look. So really all I use is concealer. But again, especially, once again on Accutane, it's gonna, the makeup girlies know, like if you put concealer on your skin and it's super dry, it's gonna crack and it's gonna look crappy. So I really don't use it that much. Again, my favorite makeup's Aquaphor. So let's get into some of the other treatments that I've done in the past. So I want to start off with birth control because I feel like this is a huge conversation, especially for me. I could literally make an entire video about my experience with hormonal birth control because it has been a chaotic roller coaster. But there have only been 3 things that have worked for my acne, and one of them is Yaz birth control. Unfortunately, this made my IBS a lot worse. I can't say that for 100% certain. And again, I'm not trying to like throw any accusations out there. I'm not like, guys, this is just my experience and what I perceive. I'm not a doctor. But all I know is I did some research on it. I wasn't the only one who felt like that pill had made my IBS more severe. And also, I just have generally not had a great experience with hormonal birth control, so I was already kind of on the fence about it. So again, don't freak out if you're on Yaz. Like, this is just me. My response to hormonal birth control has continually been horrible, regardless of the brand. But if you're someone who's had acne, Yaz is the brand that they prescribe you. And I'll just say this too, it worked wonders for my skin. It really looks 10 times better. It just made other aspects of my life worse, in my opinion, that weren't worth having clear skin. So I've done spironolactone. I'm actually on it right now. It's generally been like somewhat helpful. It's never made anything worse. I've never had like weird adverse side effects, which is weird because you'd think like, I'm pretty sure spironolactone's like a blood thinner that didn't work, but they use for acne. So you'd think there'd be weird side effects, but generally I haven't had any problems with that. It's made my acne a little bit better or really done nothing. So there's never been a downside for that. And again, right now I'm trying to mitigate the effects of the purging period as much as I can. So that's been helpful. I've been on doxycycline, so that's the second thing that has worked for my skin. So it's been Yaz, doxycycline, and Accutane. Doxycycline is an antibiotic, so you can't be on it for, well, it depends on what doctor you have. I've had doctors say I can't be on it for that long, and I've had doctors say I can be on it for as long as I want. So again, I'm not a doctor, I don't know. But it's worked really well for my skin in the past, but also the longer I'm on it, the less I find that it works, because I do think that's kind of the nature of antibiotics, is you do develop a tolerance. And yeah, I've been on all the topicals under the sun, and I've never had any super bad side effects. They either work somewhat or don't work super well. But yeah, I figured I'd finish this video answering some of the common questions I've seen. If you guys have any more questions, I'm happy to do a part 2 and do like a month-in update on my skin. But one of the common questions I was seeing was kind of about my side effects. You are going to have dry skin, you are going to burn in the sun. Those aren't those aren't questionable. That's just gonna happen. Other than that, I haven't really had a ton. The first time I went on it, I thought it might have been messing with my emotions, but it's kind of hard to tell because again, you're 13 years old, like everything's messing with your emotions. The second time I went on it, the only major side effect was the sunburn, and that's just because I went to Florida and I had the worst burn in the entire world. Oh my god. So please, please, please wear some sunscreen with it. I've been able to go in the sun on Accutane and be fine. It's just I didn't wear sunscreen in Florida, so don't let that burn like scare the crap out of you. I literally was a lifeguard while I was on Accutane. You just have to be careful. Another comment I saw said that it kills you slowly. No. The second time I was on it was for 9 months. I think I know. The third one was a question about can you drink on it, and from my experience, I've never been told that I can't. Again, I just turned 21, so it wasn't super relevant before. I've never been told that they can't, but I would definitely consult with your doctor because again, not a doctor. What other questions did I see online? I'm not thinking of any. Again, if you guys have any more questions, definitely comment them below. I love talking about this because I feel like everyone's got a different skincare journey, and it can be such a struggle to feel like your skin is breaking out, especially as a 21-year-old, like to be like, I'm still getting really chronic acne, like I look like I'm a tween. But genuinely, like, you guys are not alone. Like, some people just have porcelain glass perfect skin, and that's not me. So anyway, guys, that's about all I have to say on that subject, but again, feel free to comment any questions you guys have. I know this is super interesting to those of us in the skincare community, and I will see you guys in the next video. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and let me know what you guys think.